Welcome to the Sales Acceleration Show. My name is Michael Humblet and I'm the founder of Chaomatic. And this show is all about accelerating your business on sales and marketing and even on talent. And that is exactly what we're going to talk about today with Jeroen. Jeroen, thanks for coming. Tell our viewers what you do.
I have a staffing agency for students. We are active in Belgium. We have 3 offices, Antwerp, Ghent and Brussels. And
how many students, just to have an idea of size?
Last year we had 5,700 students working for us.
That's a lot of students.
It's a lot of students.
Exactly. And it's niche, it's only students, nothing else.
Only students, exactly. Yeah.
And before we walked in, you made a really nice quote. Just let's start with that quote.
Yeah, there is not a war on talent, but there is a war on keeping talent.
Yeah. So what would be your advice, as you're an expert? So what do we need to do? Imagine I'm a company, scale up, doesn't matter what am I doing, and I have this problem.
Listen, if we talk about HR in general, I think we have a problem nowadays. Mm-hmm. Our educational systems, they are supposed to make young people ready for to get to work, mm-hmm. to find a job, to be ready for that job market. However, in my opinion, they are not ready when they finish school. And everybody's talking about gaining experience, etc., etc. However, there are very few people that start gaining or are trying to start gaining a relevant work experience during their studies. So if you look at the numbers, only 10% of the students, they choose a job specifically to get work experience or relevant work experience. So if you look at the normal flow of someone that's, for example, studying something in economics, mm-hmm. then you will see that they will have studied something like economics in high school, then they will go for a bachelor, 3 years, then they will go for a master, maybe mm-hmm. for a year on Erasmus or whatever, maybe even a second master. So they graduate when they're 25. They have spent 2.5 decades of their lives studying. Mm-hmm. And due to the fact that everybody around them is saying that investing in his study means that that will be your golden ticket to be successful in your working career. So it means that their expectations of the jobs, number one, and their expectations on the money side, the wages, are extremely high. So what you see is that they go for a first job, something like working for a Big 4 company in consulting. They do this for 2 years. After 2 years, they're done with it. Yeah. Then they go for an international experience. They go, for example, 3 years abroad, and then they come back, and then they want to start settling down, getting married, going for kids, etc., etc. So in 10 years' time, they have spent their times in 3 companies with only one goal: gaining relevant work experience. And in my opinion, taking jobs only for building up your resume is the same as saving sex for when you're old, you know. So,
which is a bad idea.
Which is a bad idea. So, what I actually want to say with there's not a war on talent. Obviously, there is a war on talent, but there is more a war on keeping talent, because what you see is the amount of time that a new recruit or a young professional stays at one company is very limited. The time that you graduate and then get 2.5 years of trainings in that company and spend another 30 years at that same company, those times are over. The time that they shift and they have to find new people, etc., it goes so fast and so quick. So what you see at the hiring side of companies is that the average vacancy that they put online or whatever, or that they are looking for, is they want to have people with already working experience.
Because that's where you guys come in and actually start training the students. But how do you do it then? How do you get them motivated to do this?
Yeah, obviously it starts with awareness. So we need to make young people aware that only studying won't be sufficient enough to be successful in that job market. And also work with them. So in deltaworx we have two big groups of jobs. We have everything that's hospitality, which is not very not very sexy. But then we have everything that's non-hospitality, and that department of our business is talking a lot with our recruitment side as well, and we are trying to make a match between the people that are applying at deltaworx and what they are studying and what their interests are, with looking for jobs that are specifically interesting for them.
So you can make the bridge for later.
Exactly.
And scale there that.
Yeah.
Do you have like advice or tips if you're, I mean, we're talking about students and all of that, I can imagine they all come to you and say, give me some tips and advice or what they need to do, or look, is there like something you say, well, I see this pattern, guys or girls, think of this, do that, think differently?
Like tips for the students?
Yeah. We'll go to the companies later, right, for the hiring. Start with the students.
I think the most important tip that we can give, or I can give to students or young people in general, is obviously we're working to gain money. That's probably one of our number one priorities. Do I agree with that being the number one priority? Not necessarily, but for a lot of people...
there goes the pyramid of Maslow, but yes.
Exactly. But whether you are serving in a bar or in a restaurant and gaining money with that, or you're working at a cool marketing company and gaining money with that as well, and gaining relevant work experience, maybe you should ask yourself what would be the best for the best for my future. Yeah. And then choosing for not the obvious student job like waitering, and going for example, a law student that does reception work at the law firm, for example. I would make different decisions there.
Yeah. As a company, how do you look at it? Because should you hire students? I mean, you gave a very good example. So I'm in a lot of sales and marketing areas, and what I see is they are looking for a lot of like inside sales, junior sales. On the one hand, on the other hand, I see a lot of marketeers thinking, we should need one of these young guys to write content and all of that, which for me would be my dream student job. Is it possible to work with students there? Is it way too long? What's the advice to do it? I mean, of course, setting clear expectations. They can't run the whole business, but
no. But the students are capable of doing way more than only studying, and way more than only waitering, or way more than only doing admin or getting coffee or whatever. So I think there are two things that companies should do. Number one, if we look at, and this has nothing to do with our business, but it has everything to do with internships. If we look at internships, companies should look at internships not in a way that it is cheap labor, but in a way that they are probably creating and getting people ready to work full-time somewhere, maybe at that same company, but maybe also somewhere else. And an internship should not be seen as cheap labor. So,
which most companies do, by the way.
Which most companies
because
do.
I need a guy to just
type in shit and go get coffee and do copies and run to get the delivery of the food of lunch and whatever. And I think that's sad, because those guys, they start at an internship with a lot of expectations and they really want to learn. And you would be surprised on the impact and the extra added value that they can give. To give a quick example, we help a lot of smaller family-driven or family-owned companies throughout Flanders and Belgium. And what you see is that a lot of those companies, they've never done something with marketing, for example, or social media. So we've done this several times before. We go and look for a student that's studying marketing, 3rd year's bachelor, 1st year's master, 2nd year's master. And we put these students in that company, and that company says, listen, we want to do something with social media, maybe you can help us. And the added value that those students can bring to that company at also a very low cost, because they are still students, but there is a huge added value. And this is something that I think that companies would rather underestimate. Yeah.
It would actually be my advice for a lot of these companies to get somebody in like that actually understands, and that's like a digital native and that really knows how to play, because large corporates, they look at Instagram and I'm like, guys, you have no clue what you're doing, or they fight with it.
No, exactly.
Let them, okay, he doesn't understand the brand guidelines and all that, but you can kind of you can aim the gun, you can guide.
Of course. And obviously, like, you have good students and bad students, and you have motivated and less motivated, and so but you also have that in the normal job markets. You always have the stars and the big talents, and you also have like the people that are maybe not so ambitious, but the added value that they can bring is higher than people expect.
So what if you look into the future, a few steps, would then the future be to train students even more, or to facilitate that even more?
It's our...
If I would be a mother, which clearly I'm not, I would say there's already so much pressure, Although on the other hand, I've seen that you can put a lot of pressure on students, and I used to work like a madman.
Okay, but if we go to let's go to the parent view, because you said it. Let's say that I'm a mother, so let's go to the parent's view. What you see nowadays is that parents are pushing their students to study. So my generation is the highest educated generation ever, where 40 years ago an engineer is something wow. Nowadays we have a lot of engineers.
If you don't have a
so
PhD, then it's
Exactly. So we have a lot of people that are finishing university or college with a bachelor degree. And so you were talking about pressure, but the amount of pressure that parents, our community, the government, the entire world is pushing on, is setting on those students of, listen guys, if you do not study, you will not be successful. So what I would do, like in my ideal, the ideal situation would be that they would put less pressure on the study, and that they would give more time during their studies to work. And this is a shift that we are seeing already, where 10, 15 years ago, every student was a model student. They would start on day one in September. Their degree was a 3 years degree, 3 years bachelor degree, and after 3 years, they were graduated. What you see nowadays, and then to go back, to go back there as well, those students would only work in the summer holidays. Summer holidays, and maybe in the weekends. What we're seeing nowadays is they are not going for that normal study way of 3 years. They would say, okay, listen, for this year I'm going to take less courses. For next year we'll take more courses. I'm going to chill down a bit. I want to start, or I want to live on my own, for example, so it means I have to work. So what you see now is students, the majority of students are not working during the summer holidays, they're working during the year. Because the funny thing is, during the summer holidays, they want to go on holiday.
They want to go to Ibiza.
They want to go and travel, yeah.
Perfect, so near the end of the interview, I always have some questions. What is the best source of information for you to get inspired, like a website or a book that you read? Or where do you go to read up, let's say it like that?
Probably a lot of people already said it before, but I force myself to watch at least 2 or 3 times a week a TED video.
Nobody has said that before.
No?
So that's a good one.
I'm surprised, yeah. So
TEDx,
I prefer the TED than the TED over the TEDx,
yes, you're right.
Obviously. But yeah, TEDx as well. Yeah.
That's a good one. And then one of the, because you're a founder, a co-founder, you run a business. How do you say no? If you say no at all.
No. I laugh because my last slide, if I give presentations or keynotes, is 3 words on just 3 words, simple words. The first is fail, the second is no, and the third is end. And for me, fail, no, and end are 3 words that we as entrepreneurs face every day. But for me, those 3 words mean different things. Fail means first attempt in learning. End means effort never dies, and no means next opportunity. So I think it's a funny question.
But it ties into the next one, which is how do you bring focus then?
A good entrepreneur is someone that knows very well what he's good at, but knows even better what he's bad at. And focus is for me something that I'm not good at. So I've extremely smart and intelligent people working for me that
So you
on a
can
daily basis tell me,
conquer and divide.
Jeroen,
Yeah.
don't lose focus. We're going to do this first, and then we'll see.
Although you don't really work with sales, you told me, what would be your best sales advice?
Don't make it obvious you're doing sales.
Yeah, it's a good one.
If I'm at a network event or if I'm talking to someone, I'm talking about my business with a passion, and I'm talking about my business with a passion because it passionates me, and not because I have the intention in that moment to sell the poor guy.
Yeah, of course.
Students.
Of course. Yeah. So okay. Last one. What's the biggest mistake you've made? What's the mistake during your business? What you said, I never do that again.
Okay, the biggest one, and this is something I think a lot of people will have troubles with, already had troubles with, is with IT. A couple of years ago, I had the big, like when you see the light and you think,
Yeah, the light bulb. Yeah.
this is it. And so we started digitalizing our work processes.
Yeah.
And we wanted to hire people, and we bought a company, like a development company, but I have no idea
How it works.
Yeah. And we must admit that we lost quite some money.
So leave IT to the IT guys.
Yeah, leave the IT to the IT guys. And if you're getting into IT, make sure that you hire someone that's in your team, part of your management team, that is able to communicate with both the business side as a development side.
Yeah.
And that you understand well what they are doing and what choices they are making and what the consequences are for those choices. Yeah.
And as a last one, where can we learn more about your company?
www.deltaworx, which is WORX.
Yeah.
.eu.
Yeah.
And of course on all socials, Instagram, Facebook.
Okay, perfect. So we're gonna put all of that exactly down in the description. Thanks, Jeroen, for coming. Thanks for joining the show.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Thanks for watching. If you like what you've seen, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for a lot more that's coming your way.